It's Tuesday, March 19. Good afternoon. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. Chief Justice Brian Sykes this morning refused the Director of Public Prosecution's application for witnesses in the case against well-known Spanish Town gang leader Tesha Miller to be allowed to testify via video link. Prosecutors filed the application, citing safety concerns for two key prosecution witnesses. But Miller's attorney, Bert Samuels, challenged the application, arguing that his client or anyone related to him poses no threat to any of the witnesses and therefore asked that the witness attend court to be cross-examined. Now, Justice Sykes said he had no evidence on which to grant the Crown's application, and so the matter has been set for case management on April 24. Miller, the leader of the Klansman gang, is to stand trial for the 2008 murder of Managing Director of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, Douglas Chambers. Mr. Chambers was fatally shot at the JUTC depot in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Another fatal police shooting has again pitted residents and the police against each other, with both sides giving different account of the incident. It unfolded in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, in what residents contend was a love triangle turned sour. TVJ's Krista Campbell has the details.
The pangs of death and loss on display in the Old Harbour community of Island Farm, St. Catherine, Tuesday morning. The aftermath of what residents say was a birthday party turned tragic. About midnight Monday, they say 29-year-old tax office auditor Navardo Dennis had some kind of dispute with his girlfriend. An aunt says persons started to gather to prevent it from turning into a fight, and that's when the unthinkable happened.
I'm seeing a woman talk to him, man, him no know what they have in the command, but a woman and the man come up the road and the man come up behind him. Say him a try for him and him no fight, so all him a do him a draw away him woman, him no tap a draw away woman. I tell him man jump up in it and chuck him, hug him up and shoot him, innocent youth, good clean youth. Me not talk about no picnic when make trouble him never talk in our community.
What is
quiet? They all call him nerd, but why don't get trouble and he don't talk and nerd they call me nephew and they kill me nephew for not at all. Police are kill me nephew over woman no worthy.
But the police have a different version of the incident. Head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Corporate Communications Unit, Deputy Superintendent Delia Garrick, says the policeman says he shot Mr. Dennis in self-defense.
The policeman was walking along with a female when the female was attacked. Both of them were attacked. He was stabbed multiple times in the back hand, and he subsequently pulled his firearm and fired, hitting his attacker, who subsequently succumbed to his injuries.
She says residents reacted by damaging two service vehicles, and the policeman had to seek help from a team from the Old Harbour Police Station to get him out of the area safely. She says he's receiving treatment for his injuries, but residents say it didn't happen the way the policeman claimed.
Him no walk with knife, not even key, think carry a press button. I back away you think have him beer where my drink. He use and cut him hand.
He cannot go in vain like that. The government have to take stand and police them. Who now work? They come out because the police them train, they get good training, but when they come on road, they come like ragamuffin.
The security forces are maintaining a presence in the community, which is now tense. Meanwhile, the Inspectorate of Constabulary and the Independent Commission of Investigations are probing the incident. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
Several licensed firearm holders in Western Jamaica could lose their guns in short order as the Firearm Licensing Authority questions alleged flaws in their character and other disqualifying factors. The decision, which will impact at least one popular politician and several small business operators with questionable backgrounds, was taken in the aftermath of a high-level meeting between the top brass of the FLA and the Area 1 police hierarchy. Chief Executive Officer of the FLA, Shane Dalling, says serious concerns were raised about some persons with licensed firearms who are reportedly involved in illegitimate activities. He added that the issue is not taken lightly, so a decision has been made immediately to revoke some gun license, while others are being reviewed with similar actions possibly to be taken. Fire last night destroyed the Red Cross building in St. Anne's Bay, St. Anne. The fire, which started minutes after 7 o'clock, quickly engulfed the wooden structure, threatening the nearby St. Anne's Bay Parish Church and the church hall. 2 units from the St. Anne's Bay Fire Department fought the blaze with over 20 men. Acting Divisional Head, Senior Superintendent Wendell Patterson, says all possible efforts were used to save the church hall, with only minor damage to the gutters on the roof. An investigation is underway. And still in St. Anne, the bus driver who fatally hit a tourist at Bull Point near Duns River Falls last Monday is to return to the St. Anne's Bay Parish Court on April 4. 51-year-old Neville Phillips was charged on the same day of the March 11 incident. He has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving. Mr. Phillips was granted $500,000 bail with sureties when he appeared in court on Friday. Reports were that 60-year-old Mark Johnson of California in the United States was walking with his spouse along the sidewalk in Bull Point when he was hit by a passenger bus. He died in hospital. The captain of the boat which capsized off the coast of Port Royal in December, killing 2 women, was yesterday fined $400 in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. 57-year-old Herbert Dowie pleaded guilty to 4 charges under the Harbours Act of 1971. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of breaching the harbour's rule and 1 count of operating an unlicensed vessel. The maximum fine of $100 was imposed on each count. Dowie's attorney, Hensley Williams, said given the age of the legislation, it would be an unnecessary waste of judicial time to proceed with the matter and asked that his client be allowed to enter a plea. The 2 women who drowned during the mishap are 35-year-old Janelle De Cassers of Summit Heights, St. Andrew, and 45-year-old Edith Petschka of Evergreen Drive in Hatfield, Manchester. They are among a group of 12 persons who were being transported to Lime Key when the vessel in which they were traveling encountered difficulties and capsized. Dowie was later charged as the vessel was not licensed at the time to carry passengers. The People's National Party continues to blast the finance minister and the government about its 2019-20 budget, insisting that it perpetuates inequality. In his budget presentation earlier this month, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced a $14 billion tax cut. However, at its post-budget press briefing on Monday, the opposition suggested that, aside from not benefiting the average Jamaican, the inequality of the cut is most prominent in the education sector.
Because we have a veritable apartheid system in education. A small set of schools performing at high levels and a large number of schools performing at substandard levels. Yet in this budget, education has received no real increase in the budget. When you take account of inflation, the education budget is flat.
Opposition spokesman on finance, Mark Golding, rubbished arguments which compared Jamaica's economy with that of the United States to defend what he termed as trickle-down economic benefits.
We are in a post-colonial society where we have not seen adequate growth for a long period of time, where we have a very skewed income distribution in the country, and where there are structures in place which are perpetuating poverty in terms of land ownership and in terms of the education system and other things. And we need to address those proactively. We can't just wait on wealth to be created at the high level and see whether or not it trickles down to benefit the majority. We need a more proactive policy to address those inequalities so that everybody has a fair chance of making it in life.
The opposition is calling for a reduction in the general consumption tax as well as the tax on energy as a means of not only increasing equality but also to stimulate economic growth. The Jamaica 4-H Club is reporting that more of its members are now venturing into agriculture. This comes on the heels of an urgent plea from the Agriculture Ministry for the nation's youth to look to that sector. TVJ's O'Shane Masters reports.
Agriculture is becoming more attractive to the nation's youth. That's the word from head of the Jamaica 4-H Club, Ronald Blake, while speaking to TVJ News in St. Elizabeth recently. The government in the last few years have been on a drive to get more young people into the agricultural sector. This, as they say, the agricultural sector will be one of the main drivers to economic growth. It has also led to the Agriculture Ministry seeking to get more lands into production. But for Mr. Blake, he says what has sparked the younger generation into the sector is the interest rate by at least one financial institution to persons who want to go into agricultural production.
Interest rates are falling. You can now get as low as 4% loans. And I'm talking about 4% on the reducing balance.
He also says, based on efforts from his organization, more persons are looking to agriculture as a way of life.
The effectiveness of the 4-H club has resulted in a reduction of the average age of the Jamaican farmer. It is now at 48.7. The 4-H clubs is also encouraging and pushing a lot of its members towards tertiary training in agriculture. So CAOCH is seeing as much as 43% increase in enrollment in agriculture. Out of every 5 farmers registered as farmers over the last 3 years, 3 are actually youth farmers.
In the meantime, Mr. Blake is calling for greater research to be done on the impacts of climate change. This, he says, is of vital importance, as the agriculture sector will be the one which is most affected.
They must find ways of coexisting with the challenges that we are going to be experiencing coming from climate change. Higher levels of CO2, higher temperatures. When we have rainfall, we're going to have, more flooding and so on. So we're going to have to now adapt our strategies to fit with those realities.
Rashid Masters, TVJ News.
A medical collaboration between Cuba and Jamaica is expected to further boost Jamaica's health care, with Cuba also benefiting. At a recent Caribbean medical devices exhibition put on by Medical Link, co-organizer Lanesworth Walker explained that while Jamaica has long been benefiting from the expertise of Cuban doctors, Cuba's medical industry faces their own challenges in terms of accessing medical equipment from North America. He says with this collaboration, both countries can now benefit, as Jamaica will be assisting Cuba with their medical device needs. Jamaica's athletes continues to produce good performances at the Special Olympics World Games in the United Arab Emirates, copying several medals, including gold on Sunday. The nation's medal tally now stands at 18, 5 gold, 7 silver, and 6 bronze. Rollerbladers Dale Oddman and Sikani Reed won separate gold medals in their 300-meter roller skating events. Oddman won in Division 7 and Green in Division 6. Both Oddman and Green were, however, disqualified in the 2x200-meter relay. Now, Special Olympian Nigel Davis is the rollerblader coach.
Them go out and do them best, and now so I'm happy, but they really, I never really pleased with that because we get disqualified.
And that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.